Hi, everyone. This is Jackie Cooper with Crypto Mom 2, but also the GBA Talk Show. And I want to welcome everyone back to these episodes. I'm super excited to be sharing information about what's going on within the blockchain community, as well as what every GBA member is doing within our community, because they are the thinkers, the doers, the visionaries who are making changes and supporting everyone around the globe. So today, I have a very special doctor whose background is so diverse, and he blew me away when we had our pre-conference, from where he's been in the world to what he's doing and the companies that he's developed. And the project that we're going to be talking about today is really close to my heart because it's all about helping others. So this is something that I think all of us care about, and I think that we all should get behind. So I want to welcome you to the GBA Talk Show. How are you doing today?
Good. Hi, everyone. Greetings from Nashville. It is freezing today.
Yes, it is cold. It is cold. So I know that you didn't start your journey, in Nashville. You actually started across the waters. So why don't you share with everyone a little bit about your background? Because like I mentioned, before you introduced yourself, you've been doing phenomenal work for ages, and you're very young at heart, but you're very experienced. So why don't you share how you got started?
So I was born in a Greek city outside of Greece called Alexandria, Egypt, to an academic family. So I grew up across Europe with my dad, traveling from different universities. That's how I got exposed to different cultures and learned half a dozen languages. I finished my bachelor's between Alexandria and Stuttgart. And that's when I caught the bug to kind of come to the US, because I believed in the dream of come in, work as hard as you can, and be whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
So that started an amazing journey for me. I was doing my master's in computer engineering at NC State in Raleigh, North Carolina. When I got approached by a startup, the startup said the magic words: you can do whatever the fork you want to do, just make it happen. So make it happen, I did. Startup got acquired, and I got hooked up on startup life. So a dozen startups later, 3 successful exits, I found myself still in startup life, because I kind of got hooked on the fast pace, what you can accomplish with doing them. And then on the way as well, I finished my PhD in computer science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and trust networks. Trust networks gave birth to blockchain. So while I thought that I'll spend my life in the service of our overlords, the terminators, all of people wanted to know is blockchain and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and how can we use them. So what ensued after that was just madness. It's the world changed, especially for me. And I've been traveling across the globe talking about blockchain, how can we use it, how we can work through it. In 2017, I started working with NFTs and rolled my very first NFT projects in 18. And my friends were asking me, hey, Doc, what are you doing with them baseball cards? And to all of them, I have one thing to say: how do you like me now? so, so then in 2018, I hosted the inaugural smart contract panel in the Smart Island in Malta. Ended up with a private meeting with the Prime Minister there. And that led to me addressing the European Parliament joint session in Brussels in person, which was quite an experience for a Tennessee boy here. And then from there, got approached by a senator to talk in his conference all the way up in Lithuania. And that basically one thing led to other. Spent a ton of time in Switzerland, especially in Zug and Zurich, talking to private banks about how do we hold custody of cryptocurrencies. And then 2019 was just amazing. It's like, according to Google, I was in 52 different cities, from Shenzhen, Beijing, Shanghai, Singapore, Qatar, Dubai, Cairo, where I set up my own conferences, all the way all over Europe and the US. All about how do we bring that new revolution, that new asset that will change the world of everybody. And in 2020, everything changed again with COVID. So I found myself basically in my basement working alone. So I started shifting my focus more and more to impact. Like, what have we really done? Like, we talk a lot about, hey, we're going to bank the unbanked, we're going to provide utilities for people, we're going to equalize the playing field. But really, what have we done? Where are the concrete pieces for those? So that's what got me started pushing more and more on, like, how do we do that? Started talking about it, and I always brushed shoulders with a lot of people in blockchain arena. But that opportunity in 2020, where I was able of like having everybody come to Zoom, so everybody was like even closer. So I met with Joseph Holm and Alan Gorin, who are the founders of Draper Gorin Holm. Draper is Tim Draper, the San Francisco Silicon Valley billionaire blockchain enthusiast. And they basically said, hey, you talk the talk, can you walk the walk? Let's partner up and let's work on something and bring change. So that was the real start for creating AlphaFin, my flagship company, where I'm trying to change the world one block at a time.
Which I can see behind you, AlphaFin, one block at a time. And you know, for those that might be new to this community, do you, again, because we have a lot of different people with a lot of different knowledge levels, can you explain a little bit about what blockchain does? Because I know we're about to go into another special project close to your heart, and which operates on the blockchain. But would you like to explain a little bit more about what it is?
Absolutely. So as I usually say to my students, and I do publish academically every year, few papers, depending whether there is pandemic, more papers, no pandemic, less papers. And I just finished ICBC 2022, which was held in Honolulu. That's the International Conference on Blockchain. I was on the technical committee there. And I do supervise roughly a dozen students at the American University, also doing the research. What I wanted everybody to think about is, you know, like in the early 90s, we basically did not have the internet. And people, the only way for them to see anything, they would like get a newspaper. That newspaper is print once. So basically, the main way to get information was through something that was printed. Very hard to change or update or anything. And all of a sudden, the internet came on, and we had websites. That was Web 1, where you can get one-way information coming to you on the web, and that's it. And then roughly in the mid 90s to kind of like, you know, the late 90s, we started having this bidirectional web, where you are able of creating accounts, logging in, doing orders, receiving updates about your specific order, and so forth. That's Web 2.0. And there are a lot of people saying like, hey, nobody will buy goods sight unseen. You have to go to the store and see them. Well, Sears is dead. Long live Amazon. People say like, hey, nobody will wait for 50 minutes to download a movie. I can just drive to Blockbuster and grab one. Well, Blockbuster is dead. Long live Netflix. So that change in technology led to a big change in how people operate. And those that understood the lay of the land and what's coming were able of not only surviving, but thriving on that change. And right now we are seeing Web 3.0. And the difference between Web 3.0 and Web 2.0 is in the ownership. Let me explain. So blockchain is basically like the word blockchain, a chain of blocks. And what makes it unique is each block is tied with the previous block through the checksum for it. It's basically a hash that it is representative of the previous block. That means if you have a chain and you try to change one thing in one block, it busts the entire chain. And that's where it has its resilience. And also that blockchain is distributed. So there are tons of ledgers around the globe, tons of nodes, and each one is replicating the entire chain. And because you cannot change all of them, that means that it's resilience to change. And that's what we call consensus. So the consensus among the nodes of the blockchain allows it to be secured. That's why you also hear about like 51 attacks, where you have to coerce 51 or more to change. So in order to change the history, that's why it becomes difficult. Now, with creating that in place, we had before it games online, we had currencies in games, we had weapons and clothes and all that stuff. But once the game is over, all of that stuff evaporates, it's gone. So it's not real. When you talk about an asset, it's something physical that you hold. However, on the computer, you were not able of doing that, because I can, if I have administration right, I can come in, change what you own. So you don't really own it. Blockchain allowed us of creating an asset, a true digital asset, which means I either own it or you own it, and I can send it, and I can trade on it. So all of a sudden, we brought that financial component that did not exist before, that asset component that did not exist before, into the internet. And that created Web 3.0, where our assets are actually online. If you think about your bank account, you go to your bank account, you see a number, but that number is what you have in the bank. In Web 3.0, you go also online and see your number of coins or tokens that you have, but those are not in the bank. Those are stored and secured by the network itself. So what does that mean? It means that from Web 1.0 that brought us information, to Web 2.0, which brought us commerce, to Web 3.0, which brings us now assets, the speed of communication, the speed of money, gonna be unbelievable. Why is that important? Because if you think about an economy that generates revenues like 3% per year, that's great. 4% per year, 5% per year. That's if it takes 1 year for the cycle of money to go in. But if you can cycle much quicker on a daily basis and make 1%, you're going to end up with 365% per year. That speed of commerce is what's going to change the world. And because you own it, it does not matter where you are globally. Now you have your asset, you have your ownership of it, and you can participate equally on the global scale. And nobody can change your ownership. Nobody can come in and wipe your account off unless you get hacked. But beside that, you own it, you control it, you can work with it. And what's also is important for governments as well is that this is a way for governments to serve their constituencies. Because look at, for example, what happened through the pandemic. When we wanted to implement in the US the ability to send stimulus checks to everybody, it took weeks to drop that money. Yeah. But in a place like China, in Shanghai, if I'm not mistaken, they airdrop the tokens immediately. And the same with blockchain, because they used blockchain. Similarly, if we have that, we can send money very quickly. If we have almost every year some emergency happening, and you declare Florida or California or Texas, you have how can you get funds quickly to them? How you get funds distributed and dispersed to the people on the ground? You have to go through so many hoops and loops. But if you have a blockchain system, and if you have a CBDC, for example, which is central bank digital currency, you are able of dispersing this to the populace immediately.
And tracking it to make sure it gets to the right person.
That's a salient point, because a lot of people would say like, oh, cryptocurrencies, that's for the black market and all of the stuff. But really, black market hates cryptocurrency. Why? Because you can't track it. For the 99.9% of tokens across different chains, you can track them, except for the few privacy tokens, or except for specifically created systems to hide it. Cash, on the other side, is completely anonymous, meaning I can slide, a bag full of money and nobody can track it.
Yeah.
While this is impossible on blockchain.
Yeah, no, it's true. So thank you for the foundational thought, because I know that's going to lead us right into the project that you're talking about. Because again, it's the idea that blockchain can help do good around the world and make it easier for people to both participate as well as help others. So would you like to share your screen, and would you like to share more about the vision that you came up with? Because again, you're all about service and doing good for others. So tell us a little bit the story behind this.
Yes. So basically, the story about it is like through the beginning and onset of the pandemic, kind of like thinking, what have we done and how can we reach the people? We are talking about unbanking, banking the unbanked, helping people through charities and all of stuff. And there isn't a coherent system. Most early adoptions, like usually happens with technologies, they go to how can I make a quick profit? But how can we help the people? How can we change our way of thinking into more like help first and do well by doing good? Can it be done? Well, that's the beauty of blockchain, because like I mentioned earlier, blockchain is an empty canvas, a fabric of a value network that can change our behavior using it, that can dramatically create new ways, just like what we are doing now. We are talking over TCP/IP, which was impossible on the regular landlines, like video calls. That was a dream. But
Yeah.
now everybody does it, right?
Yeah.
So it changed how we work, how we communicate, and eliminated distances. That's what I am seeing the future of blockchain to be. So I created AlphaFin, which is financial evolution technology. It's a Draper Gorin home company. And we do two things. We have two platforms. One is called Decentralized Lending Network. It's a micro lending network built on the Casper blockchain that allows you to incentivize people for helping their friends. So you lend your friends and the network pays you interest, not the other way around, on helping your friend. And the other one is verified impact NFTs. So why impact? Because the global philanthropy ecosystem is about $600 billion annually, and it's slated to become $1 trillion in the next decade. It is consistent of three major parties. One would be the donor, who gives the money, then the beneficiaries, who basically are custodians of said money to help distribute it to the recipients. The recipients are not only end recipients, like for example, if you are trying to feed the children, it will not be just the children, but it will be the person buying the food, the person cooking the food, preparing the food, transporting the food, and serving the food to the children. All of those have to be paid. That's why we have beneficiaries that oversee this the spend of the money. However, we have a ton of problems today. The technology is not helping because we are trying to create a global system, but it's the solutions that are available are siloed, and there is lack of transparency. You don't really know who's doing what, where it is, and how you can track the impact, what you are trying to do. And there is a lot of middle layers, no new incentives at all. So it's the same old thing that has been there since, like 3,000 years. And very little limited Web3 strategy, which is an important thing, because the current generation that is giving, the newer ones, they are used to the metaverse and NFTs and so forth. So they are moving into that. And when they move there, what are the charities going to do? They cannot go around it the same conventional way.
Yeah, I agree with you. There has to be a new way of thinking. And it also means that the charities And those that are leading the charities, they have to be educated as to how they can participate in this.
Yes, and especially in blockchain arena, because there are the network is immutable, and it's a trust built in networks. You don't know who's on the other side. So how do you guarantee that your impact would work if you're using the current systems? You can't. And you might think that blockchain is all about making a profit. Well, that's not completely true. So the average donation in fiat is about $128. The average donation in crypto is $10,440, 82x. And you might say, hey, this is only for people working in crypto, so it will be just the few. And you'll be mistaken again, because according to money.com, Fidelity Charitable Investment donated back in 2021 $330 million in crypto. Why? Because from a donation point of view, donating crypto is just like donating stock, which means you can claim the full face value of the appreciated asset without having to liquidate the asset and generate a taxable event underneath.
So I just want to interrupt for a quick second because I forgot to do this at the beginning of our conversation. All of our talk shows are not financial advice. They're not investment advice. They're not legal advice. This is purely educational, and you need to do your own research. And definitely talk to members on your team so that way they can find out more background for you. But with that being said, let's keep going. I just always have to do the disclaimer. So
Absolutely, 100%. And I'm just a PhD. So so that led me to like thinking why is not there is no way for it, is because nobody built it. Nobody's thinking about how can we create a system for charity. That's how verified impact NFTs were born in the system. And I started by rewriting the entire NFT contract, NFT smart contract, to embody the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. There are 17 of them. And just for completeness, also added none and all.
So before you go into that, because I love what you're about to talk about, for those that are new to this world, explain what an NFT is, because just like I'm in education and I'm also in law, there's a lot of terminology that we use, and we become very comfortable once we're in this world, but sometimes people who are new to this might not understand. So just explain what an NFT is, so that way as you go forward, they'll know how all this integrates.
Yes, so remember the assets that I was talking about?
Yes.
So in blockchain, you can create two types of assets. One is fungible and the other one is not fungible. The fungible assets are like dollar bills. So if you have dollar bills, all of them are completely interchangeable and equivalent to each other, although there is an actual serial number on each dollar bill. That would be fungible tokens. That's your normal cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, CSPR, all of that would be an actual token that you can interchange. Most use cases would be payment methods. However, when you have a Picasso and another Picasso, you cannot say they are interchangeable. They are done by the same painter, but you cannot say that you can interchange them, because one Picasso might be much more valuable than the other Picasso. That is a non-fungible token, NFT. And the NFT opened up a whole new world. It started with the, what we call enhancement, ERC 721, that allowed us to add or embody special features for each token that gets created. That's how you can add an image to the NFT, maybe put a message underneath the NFT. Some NFTs have videos embedded in them. Some NFTs have music embedded in them. And the sky is the limit. We're just figuring out how can we use those NFTs. NFTs can be used as access, gated access. So you can go into a certain Discord channels with them. You could have certain rights. In the near future, you will be able to go to several concerts. Your tickets will become NFT tickets and so forth. That's how the NFTs. The NFT is usually a limited number. So you would create 1 to usually 10,000 like as a normal. But with tokens, you can have a billion token, no, not a problem. That's another difference between them. But the NFT usually is minted by an artist. So the artist comes in, mints NFT, the artist controls the NFT completely, and the artist receives the money for creating that NFT. So that puts the artist in control, but it leaves out the beneficiary and leaves out the charity impact, as well as an NFT does not have categorization, like what kind of NFT this is. That's what led me to embody the SDGs in the very own fabric of the NFT itself. So when you are minting the NFT, when you are creating it, you have to discern what kind of purpose this NFT is serving. That's one big difference between those kind of NFTs and regular kind of NFTs. That's why I call them the circle of good.
So basically, when people are coming here, they will choose one of these categories and then go within the category.
Yes. And the entire thing starts with the beneficiary. The beneficiary here would be the NGO, the 501c3 organizations. They have to come in KYB, basically know your beneficiary, because they are licensed by the government to collect and disperse that money. And then once we verify them, we allow them to activate them so that now they can create a campaign.
And is this global? Is this in one country? How are you doing this?
Global, except for, like few countries that we all know.
Yes.
But it's global. You can come in, and that's why we also have to verify. So we do the KYB, and then we verify that you are actual beneficiary. Sometimes you have people running a scam, say like, hey, yeah, I'm helping whatever hungry children in Somalia, but they are not.
Right.
That's where we have to see their papers and make sure that they are legit, so that we get them access to the site. Once they are there, they can create their campaign. So you can say, hey, I want to create a campaign for doing this. I want to create a campaign for doing that. When you are creating the campaign, you specify two important things. One would be which SDGs are you serving? So for example, if you are having access to food, then like feeding the children, that's access to food. If you are giving grants for girls to go to college, then it's gender equality. If you are about renewable energy, so that's renewable energy. World peace, similar. So you pick one of those to say what kind of SDG are you serving. And then once you set that one, you also would create your own incentive for the artists and the creator to come. The artists and creator are not just NFT creators, but really, if like sometimes somebody does a silent auction and donates a car to be sold for charity. Same thing. That would be a creator that brings something in, and that would bring the creators here, the artists, the people trying to help your effort. And you, the beneficiary, determine what kind of incentivization you put for them from 0 to 10%, something, whatever you want to do, because you are in control. What that means is that when the donor comes in, the donor now can select by the different category. So they can say like, oh, I'm more into into gender equality. So I'm going to pick that. And then I look at the different art, look at the different campaigns, and determine which campaign I want to support, which art I want to acquire. So to bring it all back together, the beneficiary is actually in control. So they create the campaign, they allow the artists to mint and donate their NFTs for the campaign, and let the artists focus on what they do best. Is they want to help something, they help it with their art. That's where they add a lot of value to help serve the recipients. But, and not a tax advice like you've mentioned, the donors, the donors here are the biggest winners. Why? Because today, if I'm helping a charity, I can't go around town and carry my tax receipt and say like, hey, I helped this, I helped this, I helped this, because it's not an asset that I can show. However, in this system, you get an NFT, which is a digital asset that you can show on your phone, you can put on your website, you can help be an example for others to show, like people would get jealous. Oh, look, this is a really nifty NFT, I like it.
Yeah,
so
to inspire others to do the same and to give back.
And this factor of getting something, when you get a receipt, it's okay. But when you actually have a collection of different NFTs with a pleasing art, that's something that you feel rewarded. You're not just, it's not one way. And you still get the same tax treatment based on your jurisdiction and the beneficiary registration and so forth there. But also, for the very first time, you now have an NFT, which means that that asset could actually appreciate in value. So you already donated once, but if that NFT appreciates in value and you decide to sell it, part of that sale royalty goes back to the original beneficiary, which means that that NFT does not stop at the first donation. So you go and donate once, does not stop there. Every time that NFT changes hands, a royalty goes back to the beneficiary forever. Perpetual good.
I want to mention for those that might be new to this NFT world, this is a concept that has helped a lot of people, you know, in art and music in a lot of different ways. So the idea of having an ongoing pool of donations is something that, you know, from, again, not legal advice, from an estate planning perspective, you know, it really does help organizations know that they have the possibility of future income coming in from the NFTs. So you know, again, it's definitely one of the advantages of doing this type of support on the blockchain with NFTs.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we've done the very first donation on the Casper main network back in the 23rd of August for the benefit of the Ukraine Ministry of Digital Transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how the NFT looks like. It tells you who's the beneficiary, how much they get, what's the campaign, the creator, how much they get, and the collection, so that you can go look at the others.
Mm-hmm.
And down here you have, you can buy it, but you can also tweet about it. If you click on the Twitter, it actually creates a prepackaged tweet for you, so you can tweet about it. And this QR code is because we display those in different events, and it's much easier for people to scan it and get to the NFT right away.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a snippet of code, which I'll come back to later, but it allows you to display your NFTs on your website. And unlike most NFTs today on the market, they basically are focused on art, and that's it.
Yes, exactly.
We have developed an impact score history. It's just like the credit history. Why is that important? Because we want to highlight those beneficiaries that are doing good. So we do that via a system that gathers your impact. How we collect how many campaigns you've done, how much total have you raised, how many reported outcomes, because every campaign, every beneficiary is capable of giving you, you know, updates and reporting their outcomes. For example, if you are collecting money to drill wells in Africa, you say like, hey, we scouted the allocation, we started construction, we drilled 10 meters, we drilled 30 meters, we hit water, and the well is operational. So you can see what's going on with your money. Where is your money going? And this also the community rating of you. So that the community say like, yeah, I went and actually saw the well, or I know people that use that well. So then it shows in a lot of traction. And hence, what we are trying to do is we're trying to weed the scam. We're trying to weed people that are trying to take advantage of the philanthropy and basically make it verifiable and immutable on the blockchain. That's what the blockchain is good at. And then that link that I talked about earlier, that one you can use to as impact NFT viewer. So unlike just an NFT viewer which shows you an NFT, you could link that piece of code into your website and it shows you all the NFTs that you have on sale or all the NFTs that you've bought. Why is that important? Because say, for example, you are doing a campaign and a big Fortune 500 company comes in and wants to help like buy shoes for thoughts in Africa. They buy the NFTs and they can display that campaign on their website using the link. and their customers will come see what they have done as a donor, their impact to all the children via the updates that the campaign and the beneficiary updating, all done automatically. So you see how it is compound on top of each other and makes a viral impact that helps propagate good across the globe. And then there is a growing list of beneficiaries on the system that we've added, and we also signed an LOI with the given block and integrated with their system. That's a critical piece because unlike people that are dealing in blockchain and crypto, charities focus on doing an impact. So you might not want to deal with crypto. Well, we've got the system that allows you to receive your donation as fiat, as money in your bank account automatically in the system. So you don't have to deal with it at all if you don't want to deal with it.
So let me ask you a few questions. So I know a variety of charities because I've also written a book, which I'll talk about at the end. But for charities that are interested in participating with this, and for everyone who's listening, the links will be embedded in the blog below, so that way you'll be able to kind of take advantage of participating in this. Is it easy to go onto your platform and to upload documents for verification? You know, so does the process take a long time, or I'm sure you've streamlined it, but I just want to ask those questions for those that might be hearing, because I know sometimes we always get overwhelmed with, you know, sometimes when you're applying for grants or doing projects, the amount of paperwork that you sometimes have to go through. So how have you done this on your platform?
It's streamlined. When you come to sign up, it will automatically open your email client on your system and prepackage an email so that you can simply drop your incorporation documents or your government issued ID into the email and just send it. It usually takes us 48 hours to maximum week when it is high to validate those and approve you. Sometimes it happens within hours automatically. And then we also are rolling out a new feature in the next couple of weeks that allows you to use social login. So Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, you'll be able to log into the system and use it without even having to touch, the Casper signer or any of those blockchains. So it completely acts as a normal application, because the focus is not really on blockchain. The focus is on getting the charity. How can we expand that? Once you enter information, we approve you in the back end, and now you can jump back in and add those campaigns. We are always a mouse click away, an email to ask for help. If you need anything, we'll come in and help you. Our goal is to facilitate how that would work. That's on your registration. Once you set up your campaign and set up how you want to go with it, we also advertise that to the artists, because the art community really wants to help, but they don't know how to help who they need to help. And once we advertise that, we start seeing artists coming in and donating their artwork.
Yeah.
That has been phenomenal.
Yeah,
So,
it's all about educating people and not being scared about taking that first step onto this type of blockchain. So another question that popped into my mind, does the charity need to have a cryptocurrency wallet? I know that you mentioned the giving block, but why don't you clarify that? Because a lot of times I know that's one of the reasons why I wrote a book on how to use the digital assets to fundraise for your nonprofit, because a lot of times charities are thinking that it's very complicated. So with your platform, do they need a crypto wallet, or what would they need to do?
So once that new update is happening in the next couple of weeks, all they need to have is an email, Gmail or Facebook or Twitter access. Once they have that, they can simply come to the site, register with it. We will create the wallet underneath. We abstract all of the stuff. And then if they register with the given block, for example, and set up their bank account, that's a third party. They will also handle liquidating the crypto for them on their behalf. So The money comes in, the money goes to your wallet, gets liquidated, gets into your bank account, and that's it.
Makes it very simple. So
Yeah.
again, for everyone who's listening, both on the audio side as well as on the visual side, the YouTube side, if you have questions, reach out, whether it's to myself or the doctor. I mean, again, we'll make sure that you have the answers. That way you can participate and get the support that you need from your projects, because that's why this was created, is to help you with alternative fundraising avenues to so you can continue to do your mission, which is, there's so many different missions out there. So keep going. I'm sorry, I keep asking questions because I know that there are different nonprofits and people who are listening might have questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my goal is to help as many people as possible, so that kind of like, I would leave this planet much better shape than what I found. At least make a small dent in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So we also have a plethora of artists that joined. If you are an artist and like to do good, come join our platform. Everything is free on the platform itself. And the founding team is myself, Alan Gorin, and Joseph Holm. Those are also the founders in Draper Gorin Holm. Sid Mafia is my advisor, business advisor. He's a director at Draper Venture Network. And Professor Brett Smith is Vanderbilt Law professor who chaired the alternate dispute committee at the Tennessee Supreme Court. So you have big names behind the project and immaculate resumes of all of them. And what ties us all is the desire to make good.
Yes.
That's what we're trying to do. So join us. Let's do good.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Your email will definitely be, on the blog below, but do you want to mention would you like to mention the website again, or how people can reach out to you?
So you can reach out to me personally through Adel, Adel, at AlphaFin, which is ALPHAFIN.io. That's my direct email. And the platform is verifiedimpactnfts.com. So through those two, you can find me and find the platform, and I'm available, and my team is ready to help you. If you are a charity or if you are an artist, we welcome you to the family so that we can reach more people and do more good through that. The platform itself is completely free, just charges 2% on the transactions so that it can pay for the upkeep of it. But everything else is between the beneficiary and the artist.
I know that I'm a volunteer with a number of charities. And so, over the next few weeks, I'll definitely be going onto the platform and sharing the information with those that I know, as well as various artists as well, because again, different people have reached out to me. As I mentioned, one of the books that I co-wrote with another attorney is how to use digital assets to fundraise for nonprofits. So I know that a lot of the nonprofits that we're talking to are going to have definitely an interest in what you've created, so that way they can add their campaigns to it. And also, so many, I know I was talking to a group of nonprofits in Virginia, and they were talking about how they do art auctions. And I said to them, have you thought about using, the NFT side to also raise? And so now I can go back to them and say, this is a platform that you can register on, and you can now also invite the artists that are helping you with your physical, event. They can also help you with the virtual side. So it's very exciting to be able to kind of cross over and to use the blockchain for good. So any last minute thoughts? Go ahead. I know that there's a lot that we're going to be talking about.
Two quick things. One is also like, so doing good, doing impact does not mean that you have to put out money. But what you could do for free is the platform has Twitter in it through and through. So all the campaigns, all the beneficiaries, all the NFTs are all set up with a Twitter button on it. So if you see something that you like, or something that you are supporting, you could tweet about it for free. You never know. Maybe somebody that is following you would find that attractive and go support that. So this way you've actually achieved something that is good around that. The second thing is I'll also make sure to give you my scheduling on Calendarly, so that anybody wants to schedule a meeting with me, I'm ready and available to talk with them.
Yep, and all that information will be in the blog below, so that way you can reach out to the doctor and become part of this wave of individuals and organizations that are doing good and helping others around the world, because we all need to, you know, we all need to support each other. And as I mentioned at the end of all my talk shows, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. We're all so interconnected. We're all part of one world. Thank you so much, Doctor, for being on. I know that we are going to have more than one conversation because you're involved with so many different projects that I'm just fascinated with. And I think that, you know, both the GBA members need to know about, as well as others in my Crypto Mom 2 community. So everyone, thank you so much for hopping on. Definitely like and subscribe to show your support, and have a great day. Thank you so much.